September 21st here in southern Ontario, Canada. As I enjoy a cold beer after work, let's have story time. If nothing else, for my amusement and to keep me off politics because it makes me angry. Although this is political, but it'll be part two before that becomes evident. Do you remember the expression Nero fiddled while Rome burned? Well, no, he wasn't playing, when the devil came down to Georgia, Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard, because hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals the cards. No, he wasn't actually playing fiddle while Rome burned and the empire collapsed from within. From neglect, and the ruling class continued to revel in opulence and glorious debauchery while things went awry. The Mayan Empire did much the same when the Spanish descended upon them. Now, were they the Mayans or the Aztecs? Somebody can clarify that in the comments. I'm sorry, I only have a grade 9 education. I don't remember which one. I'll use Mayan. So anyways, the Mayan Empire did much the same. When the Spanish arrived on their shores, Montezuma's revenge, he was the king, the emperor, the grand poobah, or whatever his official title was. I think he had several titles. So anyways, he was too busy to be concerned with the Spanish crawling inland locust-like from the great waters to the east. He had recently declared his ascension from mere mortality, and that he was in fact now a god. Along with a considerable increase in human sacrifices and celebration, he was planning some grand changes to the plumbing of what is now Mexico City. Now, at this time, the Mayan capital, again, now Mexico City, was a populace estimated at 100,000 people, or maybe 150,000, I forget. Now, it was basically a big swamp. Aquaculture was employed. There are islands and bridges and boats and barges and floating mats of foliage. They grew crops on. It was a functioning ecosystem. Now, the biggest part of Montezuma's planned celebrations of his ascension to godhood was the creation of vast and grand fountains sprouting up all throughout the floating city. He ignored all cautions that this might be a good idea, and worse yet, that once he opened these aqueducts, bringing the water surging down from the mountains, that once turned on, it couldn't be turned off. It was a one-way trip. Meanwhile, breathless runners were arriving in the capital city daily, gasping, Monty, these foreign invaders are running amok and progress further and further inland unabated. Oh, let them come, Monty scoffed. They will find I, a god, fear them not. Hey, stick around, sacrifices aplenty, and we open the fountains next week. So, much like Nero, he was fiddling while Rome burned. Anyways, the aqueducts were opened, the grand fountains were turned on, and as he had been cautioned by some of his wise advisors, these fountains weren't a good idea. What it did is stir up the big swamp they were in, destroying the ecology. And pretty well everybody died of dysentery and no clean water and all that related business. That by the time the Spanish got to what is now Mexico City, there was really nobody left there. It was laying in ruination. Of course, the Spanish conquest was helped greatly by the old world diseases that they brought, that the new world residents had no resistance against. And it would go on to be the ruination of Spain. All the gold they pilfered, but plundered, whatever, but that's a different story. But the similarity between Nero and Montezuma, Nero fiddling while Rome burnt, and Montezuma ignoring his country being taken over. They do have a, what would you say, a political parallel in today's society. But I'm going to leave that explanation for the next video. Comments, please.